Turning now to the U.S. job market. It is bouncing back with over 500,000 jobs added in October. That is the most jobs the country has added since July. The unemployment rate fell to 4.6%, down from September when it was at 4.8%. Economists say this is the job growth the U.S. is expected to see in the next several months. And joining us now to talk more about the job market is Dr. Ferri. He is the founder and president of Economics Athletics. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here.
So what is your biggest takeaway from this latest jobs report? It is the best since the start of the pandemic.
I think that's right. And, what I look at is the headline number. Unemployment rate continues to fall every month. There's still a few things that I would like to see more of. The labor force participation rate is still unchanged. That's still at 61.7%, which is notably lower than it was before the pandemic. So that means there's still a lot of people who are not in the labor force who were in the labor force before the pandemic.
Yeah, we just heard from a couple people in the last hour about all these masses of people quitting and not coming back, or maybe they were laid off and they're not coming back. It was initially blamed on unemployment benefits, but it doesn't appear that's the case any longer. Does childcare and fear of COVID still play into this equation?
It does. It's something a lot of people are talking about. Some economists are calling it the Great Resignation. And I look at about 5 different factors where I see, here's why people aren't working. Number one, like you said, is COVID. And what I see happening is a lot of employers are having policies that aren't necessarily conducive to employees coming back. So, people have to work from the office if they don't necessarily want to, or certain employers will have vaccination policies where there's a lot of people out there who don't want to necessarily get vaccinated, so they have to switch jobs. That's number one, employer policies. And then 2, this is something a lot of economists talk about. When you think about why people work in the first place, there's working for a paycheck and for benefits. There's also that sense you get of purpose, fulfillment, and social connection, in your life. And a lot of people have had this personal COVID reset where they don't necessarily like the job they had, and COVID gave them a chance to spend more time with their family. And maybe they realize, hey, I kind of like spending time with my family. So they're not necessarily returning to work because of that personal COVID reset.
Yeah, there might be something to that. So the unemployment rate, as we mentioned, it plunged from 4.8% in September to 4.6% last month, even as the number of Americans working or looking for work rose by more than 500,000. How do you make sense of that?
That's a good question. So there, like I said, the labor force participation rate has been unchanged. So there's still a lot of people who are out of work, and there's people who are, quitting jobs, not necessarily being laid off or not necessarily being fired. Quits, people don't necessarily think about this, but when you see a lot of people quitting their job, that can be a good sign, because what that means is they might have a good reason to quit because they have good options to spend time outside of work, spend more time with their family, take care of a loved one that they need to, or just have an early retirement because they have better savings.
So one of the things about this report that struck me is how wide-ranging it was in terms of sectors. It wasn't just, factory work or restaurant work or hospitality. It was really broad around a range of sectors. Is that unusual or was that expected?
That's right, and I think that was kind of expected at this point. We're seeing the economy overall, different sectors are recovering. Leisure and hospitality had the biggest job growth, 164,000 new jobs during October, and that's risen by about 2.4 million total in this year of 2021. Second biggest sector was professional and business services with 100,000 new jobs in October.
And the one sector, or the one group, I guess, of people who seems to have been left behind is women. Job prospects improved across all races, but women are the ones who appear to be left behind this time.
You're right, and there's really 2 big reasons I see for that. One is women work in disproportionately vulnerable jobs to COVID. So it's those service sectors, retail sectors, where you have a lot of in-person interaction that are disproportionately women. And the other one is, like I was saying before, people have found this as almost like a reassessment of their life, and getting to spend more time with your family or having that responsibility to take care of your children or to take care of older relatives. Those duties also fall disproportionately on women too.
All right, Dr. Ferri, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
And we'll be right back after the break.